Hi guys, I'm Rebecca and welcome to my Strong and Flexible class. So in this class, we're going to be focusing on working towards Pincha, and we'll cover a few different variations. So we'll tap into funky Pincha and we'll tap a little bit into hollow back as well. So for this class, you're going to need 2 blocks and a strap, and I'd suggest a little bit of wall space for your practice. So when you're ready, just come to a kneeling position. So we'll start in Japanese style meditation, Caesar meditation, which is an active meditation, because if I wanted to get up from this position, I could just lunge it forward. If this is uncomfortable though, just come to seated. So find what works for you and your body. Let's just take a moment to tune in. So taking the hands over your knees, palms face down, grounding earth energy. Just take a moment to scan your body from head to toe. So being aware of how your body physically feels today. Maybe you've moved already. Maybe this is your first time. Wherever you are though, not judging it, just tuning in. We'll then start to observe our breath and just be aware of the shape of the breath and the quality of it. We're not really going to do ujjayi breathing so much. We're going to more focus on how the breath moves with the body. So notice when you breathe in, everything expands and gets bigger. And when you breathe out, everything kind of lets go and surrenders. And we can use this to create the movement as well. So when you breathe in, you're kind of thinking of preparing for the pose. And then when you breathe out, that's kind of when you're going into it and surrendering to it. So we can take this into our practice and use it a lot. We're then going to take our hands together in prayer and set an intention to be playful and to have fun with it, knowing that when we have fun and we let go, that's when progress happens. Thank you so much for coming to join me today. Namaste. We're going to get into the shoulders first, as Pincha requires a lot of shoulder flexibility. So we'll start off with a strap and do some shoulder flossing. So with your strap, you want to fold it over a few times. If it's got a metal end, make sure you hold on to that so you don't hit yourself. And we're going to take the hands together. So you're drawing your rib cage in, tailbone's a little bit tucked. And things you want to think about are your armpits are facing forward, like they're facing your audience. Your shoulders are down and your ribs are in. From this position, think of drawing the arms backwards, but without sticking your ribs out. I'm feeling that. You can hear it in my voice. And with the hands together, you're probably not going to get very far, but it doesn't matter. Just be patient with it. And just pulse it there a few times. Smile through it. Smile through the discomfort. Okay, we're then going to slide our hands about 2 inches apart and try and do the same thing. So again, my armpits are facing forward, my shoulders are down, my ribs are in, and I'm drawing the arms back and past my head. And you'll probably be able to go a little bit further this time. Make sure you're not screwing up your face. I always see people do this when something's difficult. Try to smile, try and soften. Again, we're going to slide the hands a couple of inches apart, pull backwards. And you can add in some pulses here, so pulsing the arms forward and back. And we can also turn this movement from side to side. So keep your hips facing forward, draw your arms over to the right, like you're at a football match, waving a scarf, not that I go to football matches, and over to the left, maybe a concert. I used to enjoy them. Okay, so again, we're sliding the hands apart a little bit, pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, and again, maybe going from the right and to the left. We're going to keep on repeating this action until you can take the arms all the way backwards without letting the ribs pop out. We will let the ribs come along for the ride in a minute. So this is going to look different on everybody depending on your shoulder flexibility. So make sure when you do this, things to just think about is that one elbow isn't bending. If one of your elbows starts to bend, it's just teaching you that shoulder's a little bit tight, so just walk the hands a little bit further apart. So we're trying to find a position where you can feel it, but you're not kind of killing yourself at the same time. Last time, take the arms back to the most difficult part of the rotation. So for me, it's somewhere around here. And pull, 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 like you're pulling a cracker in half, holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll then tap the strap down towards the butt and bring the arms back over. So now we're going to take the ribs along for the ride. So we're coming into more of a hollow body shape. So you want to pike at the hips. So this action really is you're drawing your ribs and your thighs together, like you're squeezing a towel and you're trying to drain all the water out of it. So this time I'm lifting my arms up. I'm piking at my hips. I'm trying not to lean forward too much, so I'm still keeping my chest up. So I guess it's kind of like a puppy dog position, but from kneeling. Hold here for a moment and then draw the arms all the way back. Keep lifting up your chest and gaze up. This position is going to come back to haunt us in our hollow body. Hopefully it'll be a good haunting experience. So again, you're rounding the spine, coming forward. Pause a moment when you're doing it. So again, squeezing the ribs towards the thighs, like you're trying to squeeze water out of a towel, lifting your chest, and then drawing the arms all the way back. Keep the chest lifted, looking up, and then round and bring it all the way forward. We'll just do one more of these. So we're taking these kind of slow. So again, piking at the hips, lifting the chest up. Imagine you're doing a puppy dog pose against the wall. Drawing the arms all the way back. Again, lifting the chest up. And then rounding and coming all the way forward. So let's just explore this hollow body position a little bit more, as it's going to help us to open up the upper back and open up the shoulders. So with your strap, you want to make a loop and thread it around one of your feet. Then from this position, I'm going to wear my strap like I'm wearing a backpack. I'm straightening my arms, lifting them up. And again, I want to pike at the hips here, lift the chest up and imagine that I'm pressing it against a wall. Then walk the hands down the strap a little bit. Again, pike at the hips, lift the chest up. And imagine you're pressing your chest onto the wall. That's an imaginary wall in front of you. And bring it back up. We're just going to do this one more time. You want to try and keep the arms straight when you're doing this. So again, I'm piking at my hips, squeezing that imaginary towel and straightening out my arms as much as I can here. Pop, 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 and then bringing it back up. We can then just pop the strap off to the side. I don't think you're going to need it again for this class, but you never know, keep it somewhere you can see it. So again, let's continue to work into that upper back and shoulder mobility. So we're going to turn this now into swim throughs. So you're taking your forearms down onto the ground. I want you to imagine that you're swimming in the water and you're going through a tunnel with a really shallow roof, so you don't want your head to bump it. So from this position, glide like you're moving through water, swim through the arms, magnetize the elbows towards the ribs, and push yourself up into a cobra, trying to keep the pubic bone down. Then arch the spine, glide the hips back, again like you're moving through water. So again, the forearms drop down. I'm sliding myself through my arms, pressing myself up into a cobra, making sure the feet don't go out too wide, and then I'm gliding smoothly back. We'll do 3 more of these. So sliding full, magnetizing the hands towards the hips, lifting the chest up, and then arching and gliding back. 2 more times, slide the body through, lift yourself up into a cobra, glide the body back. We'll just do 1 more. So sliding the body through, lifting and gliding up into a cobra, and then pushing yourself back. From this position, tuck underneath the toes and press yourself into a down dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. And just for about 15 seconds or so, just move in a way that feels good for you and your body. So I'm going to walk my dog, sending my hips from side to side, warming up the back of my legs, and working into the flexibility of your hamstrings is going to help you to be able to lift up into your pincha. So we'll get into the hips, we'll get into the hamstrings a little bit to help with this. So taking your feet together, big toes are touching, lift your right leg up to the sky, demi-point the foot, so your foot is pointed but the toes are flexed. Square the shoulders, square the hips. From this position, keeping the shoulders square and the right leg straight, I'm going to open my right hip and then close my right hip down. I think that's a pheasant in the garden. Welcome to Yorkshire. Again, right hip opens, right hip closes. Let's just do one more time like this. Right hip opens, right hip closes. So now I'm going to bend my right knee, coming into a scorpion dog. I'm then going to take my right knee over to my left armpit. So I'm trying to slide it up like I'm wiping off my deodorant. And then I'm kicking my right leg back into a scorpion. From here, bring your right knee forward to the same height as the left hip, and then straighten the right leg out. Again, trying to keep your shoulders square. We'll then circle the right leg down, back up, and bend the right knee. So again, right knee is coming towards the left elbow or armpit. Try to wipe off your deodorant, kick it back up towards the sky. And again, draw the knee in to the same height of the left hip, and then bring the right leg out to the side. It then sweeps down and back up again. So one more time, hips are square, open the hip, bend the right knee, take the right knee towards the left armpit, slide it up, and then shoot the right leg back, scorpion dog. Bring the right knee forward. This time we're going to pulse up and down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm then going to step my right foot to the outer edge of my right hand, coming into a lunging position. So from your lunge, just walk the hands a little bit further forward. You want the right knee roughly over the right ankle. We're then going to straighten the left leg and lift up. From this position, keep the chest lifted, but think bend the elbows, lower them down. Straighten the arms and lift them back up 4 more times. So elbows bend, tap down, straighten and lift up. 3 more, bend the elbows and straighten. 2 more, my hips aren't really moving here, and straighten. 1 more time and straighten. Nice. Okay, so from this position, I'm going to quarter turn to the left, coming into a Skandasana. Take the right elbow to the right thigh. Imagine you're shooting a bow and arrow to the sky out in front of you. So gaze up at your left thumb. And either stay here, or you can take the right hand around the right shin, reach for your left wrist. And if you've got the wrist, pull that left arm straight to open up the chest more. Then release the arms. Take your hands in prayer and try as much as you can without using your hands to push up into a warrior 2 position. Then from here, I'm going to straighten my right leg and turn my toes in towards the center. From this position, lift your arms up towards the sky and then fold your hands down towards the ground. Looking through my legs at you at this point. Okay, so from here, again, what I'm trying to do is lower my forearms down. It doesn't matter if they don't touch, and lift them back up. 4 more times, lower the forearms down. If you want to add on here, you can add a lift with the heels and bring yourself back up, which would work you towards a press later on. So again, forearms lower. If you want to try and lift the heels, you can lift them and straighten. 2 more times, forearms lower, lift the heels and straighten. Last time, lower the forearms down, extend into the shoulders, maybe a little lift and straighten. From here, I'm going to bend my left knee and come into Skandasana on the other side. So again, left elbow goes to the left shin, right arm goes up again, make a wish, shoot to the stars, and either stay here or the left hand goes to the right wrist, and you're rotating your chest open towards the sky. And then release. So from this position, I'm going to quarter turn to the back of the mat, bend my left knee and come into a pigeon pose. I'm keeping my back toes tucked under to help me internally rotate my back leg. From here, we're going to do pigeon push-ups. So I'm taking my hands a little bit wider than the mat. My thumbs are facing forward, back toes tucked under. From this position, I press into a plank. I'm then trying to bend my elbows and lower the chest down, lifting up. 1. We'll go for 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then lower yourself all the way down. Let's turn this into a quad stretch. So either take your right hand down, or if you're comfortable like this, you can take your right forearm down. Use your left thumb, make an L shape, and roll your left foot out, helping you to twist. Either stay here or bend that right knee, flex the foot to begin with, think of kicking your own butt, and then point the toes, take the left hand towards the foot, and press the heel in towards you. Imagine someone's got hold of your rib cage and they're rotating your chest up and towards the sky. We're then going to release and come into our funky Pincha prep. So my right forearm is down, my left hand lines up with my right elbow. Tuck underneath the back toes, roll over the right knee, come onto the right shin, and then lift the left leg up towards the sky. From this position, my left knee is going to come towards my left elbow, and then I'm flexing the foot and kicking up. The heel is higher than the toes. So I can kick in, there goes another pheasant, 2, draw in, kick out, 3, 4, we'll go for 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're then going to turn this into a scooping action. So bend your left knee, imagine it's a spoon and you're scooping up ice cream. So you draw it in and kick it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, feel it in my bum, 9, and 10. Okay, last little action here, I'm going to kick my left leg forward and backwards 10 times. So my foot's staying about the same height as the hip and I'm kicking backwards and forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Woo! Okay, so from here, there's different options. Option 1 is I'm going to take my left knee onto my left tricep and hold it. Option 2 is I straighten my right leg and straighten my left leg. Or option 3, you would get the tricep onto the thigh and lift the left leg and lift the right leg into a variation of Ekapada Vinyasa. And then release it down. Okay, to get out of this position, cross your left leg behind the right leg and bring yourself to seated in a Gomukhasana position. So my right leg is on top, so my right hand's going to come up the back and my left arm's going to come down the back. If you need to use your strap here, use your strap to help you to bind. You can either stay here or you can fold your chin over the knees for a moment. We're then going to bring it back up. Okay, transition to standing from here. So I'm flexing my feet, pulling my right foot backwards a little bit. Try to do this without your hands and pushing down. And I'm quarter turning to the left, which should bring me to a standing position. Let's flow it back to the other side. Lift your arms up, bend your elbows, bend the knees, and squat down into a Malasana. Then from here, take your hands down, shift the weight forward into your toes, press your hips up, extend into the shoulders, and either step or jump back to a crouching tiger position. Lower your forearms down, swim yourself through your arms, and lift into a cobra. And then flex the toes, sit back towards the heels, and press yourself into a downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. So now we have to do all of that on the other side. So again, my feet together, big toes are touching. Lift your left leg up, demi-point through the left foot. Again, square the shoulders. And then from here, I'm opening the left hip and closing the left hip down. So again, left hip opens, left hip closes. One more time, open the left hip and close the left hip. I'm then going to bend my left knee, pointing the toes, squaring my shoulders. Bring your left knee towards your right armpit like you're sweeping off deodorant, and then lift it back into a scorpion dog. From this position, I'm drawing a line with my left knee coming forward to the same line as my right hip. And then from this position, I straighten my left leg out and look underneath my left shoulder. I'm then circling
the left leg all the way back up. So again, bend your left knee, take the left knee to the right armpit. Again, try to sweep off your deodorant and kick it back up, scorpion dog. Draw a line with the left knee coming forward and straighten out that left leg. We'll then circle it all the way back up. So last time, bend the left knee, take that left knee towards the right armpit, bring it all the way back, left knee comes out to the side. This time we're pulsing the leg for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then step your left foot to the outer edge of the left hand and bring yourself down into a lunge. There's so much wildlife out there. Being back in the country, you see so much. Okay, so again, we're coming into our lunge push-ups. So straighten that right leg, walk the hands a little bit further forward. Then from this position, forearms lower, forearms lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Awesome. From here, I'm quarter turning to the right this time. So coming down into a Skandasana, left leg's bent, right leg is straight. So again, take your left elbow to the left thigh. Imagine you shooting a bow and arrow, and either stay here or the left hand would reach for the right wrist, and I'd be pulling my right arm straight to open up the chest and the shoulders. Nice. Again, release the arms. Try without using momentum in the hands to push yourself up into a warrior two position. We're then going to turn the toes in, coming into a Padottanasana. So this time, let's work into the shoulders a little bit more. So I'm going to try to take my hands into reverse namaskar. If you can't do this, just hold on to opposite elbows, and that's absolutely fine. 2 toes turn in, lift the chest, and then think of sending the forehead down towards the ground here, pressing the palms together. So imagine that you've got a penny between your thumbs and you're squeezing it in. And if your head's already down, walk the feet in a little bit, transferring the weight from the heels into the toes. Awesome. We're then coming up. I'm going to bend my right knee, coming into my Skandasana on the other side. So again, right elbow, right thigh, taking a big yawn, left arm reaches backwards, and either stay here or the right hand goes to the left wrist, and then I'm pulling that top arm straight to open up my chest, and my left knee's facing up here. Oh, feels good. We're then quarter turning to the back of the mat and coming down into a pigeon. Okay. Nice. So in our pigeon this time, we're going to turn it into a bit of a funky wave. So turning the thumbs in towards one another, bend your elbows, think of squeezing your shoulders together, lower down, gaze forward, and then round the spine and wave yourself back up. So again, bending the elbows, lower down, rounding the spine and lifting back up. It always reminds me of Michael Jackson's Thriller, because I don't know, maybe that's what a zombie would do in pigeon. So again, bending the elbows lower down, rounding the spine and lifting back up. Okay, let's turn this into a side roll. Bend your right elbow, lean over to the right. Circle yourself all the way to the left. Again, squeeze the shoulders, round and come up to the center. This is my Lady Gaga pigeon. Lean over to the left, because this is totally what she'd do. Squeeze the shoulders together, lean over to the right, and then push yourself back to the center. Again, we're going to come into a quad stretch. So either just keep your right hand down or lower down onto the left forearm. Sorry, I got that one wrong. Sometimes that happens. So again, make an L shape with your thumb and your index finger and think of rolling the thigh away from you. So you're externally rotating that back leg. To start with, flex your left foot a lot and imagine that you're going to kick your own bum with it. And then from this position, point the toes, and if it feels okay, take the right hand onto that left foot and press it in towards your bum, leaning backwards like someone's got hold of your ribs and they're spinning you open. We're then going to release the leg. So again, to get out of this, tuck under the back toes, roll over the knee, coming onto the shin, and then we're going to lift that right leg up, left forearm comes down. So my right hand's in line with the left elbow, my left hand slightly in towards the center. So from this position, right knee comes to the right shoulder, and then kick backwards, heels higher than the toes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now your knees become a spoon. You're scooping up ice cream. So choose your favorite flavor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, feels so good. 8, no it doesn't, 9, and 10. But again, I'm working into my glutes here as well. So last one, I'm going to do 10 kicks forward and backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so for this last bit, I'm just going to turn around the other way so you can see what I'm doing. So my left forearm's down, my right hand's lined up with the elbow. Option 1 is you take the knee onto the back of the tricep. You want the right elbow to be roughly over the wrist. If this feels okay, you plank it, straighten that back leg. And if this feels okay, again, you can turn it into a funky hybrid version of Pada Kundinyasa. Boom, release. Take that right leg behind the left leg and bring yourself to sit down. So this time, your left leg should be on top. So the left arm's going to go up the back, the right arm's going to go down the back, and see if you can monkey grip the fingers here. Again, if you need to use a strap for this, just use a strap, it's fine. And if you can't reach, don't worry about it. Like, just take your time with it, we're all different. If you want to fold it forward here, you can fold it forward. So chin over the knees. I'm then going to bring it up, and again, a little bit of a hip mobility drill to see if you can come up to standing, press into the feet, and quarter turn to the front of the mat. Awesome. So now you're going to come to stand at the back of the mat, and we're going to use a block here. So we're going to come into, I guess they're sun salutations. They're kind of a sun salutation that I've put together that I hope will help you with the shoulder mobility you need for Pincha. So you're going to take hold of one block and take it out in front of you. Draw your rib cage in, your feet are about hip distance apart, maybe a little bit wider, because we're coming into Malasana from here. So from here, the arms lift up, but the ribs don't move. Bend your elbows, take them back, and squat yourself down into a Malasana. Then from this position, I'm going to roll over my feet and tap my knees down. My forearms lower down onto the ground, and I'm pressing myself back into a dolphin dog. And in this shape, what you want to really focus on is the shoulders, so they're not collapsing forward. You're extending into the shoulders and pushing back. From this position, there's two options. You either bend your knees lower down and take the hands towards the back of the heart, or if this feels okay, from your dolphin dog, you press the hands towards the back of the heart. We're then going to release the knees down, roll back over the feet, bring ourselves back into a Malasana. Bending the elbows, take the hands to the back of the heart, press up to standing, and take the arms forward. So we're going to do 4 more of these, and we'll speed it up slightly. And when you take the hands back, in the last move, you can either do it in child's pose or again in dolphin dog, your choice. So arms up, ribs in, bend the elbows, squat down Malasana. Roll over the knees, come to kneeling, forearms come down, dolphin dog, and either then lower the knees or just bring the hands directly back to the back of the heart. Prayer dog, I'm going to call this, or prayer block dog. But then coming back up, so back through Malasana, arms up, bend the elbows, push up to standing, take the hands forward. 3 more of these. Arms come up, bend the elbows, squat down Malasana, knees tap down. Forearms come down, pressing into a dolphin dog, and then coming back, prayer dog. Reversing the movement, knees come down, back into a Malasana, push up to standing, arms come forward. Hairs all over my face. 2 more. Arms up, bend the elbows, squat down Malasana. Knees tap down, forearms come down, dolphin dog, prayer dog. Knees drop back down. So again, reverse the movement, Malasana. Arms come up, bend the elbows, push up to standing. Let's just do one more of these. Arms up, bend the elbows, squat down, Malasana, knees tap down, forearms come down, press back, dolphin dog, and press back, prayer dog. We're then going to bend the knees lower down, get rid of the block here. So let's come back to our dolphin dog, but again, really focus on the position of the shoulders here. So there's lots of different arm placements in Pincha. We'll play around with a couple of them. I find it easier to balance with my hands flat, but if you find here that your shoulders collapse, you may find it easier to do it with your hands together in prayer, as it supports the external rotation of the shoulders. So play around with it when you're doing it. So I'm coming into my dolphin dog, and from this position, I'm really going to focus on extending my shoulders up towards my ears. So here I'm collapsed, but what I want to do is draw my ribs in and extend my shoulders up towards my ears, and then relax it back down. So again, shoulders extend up towards the ears, so shoulder flexion, and relax it back down. One more time. So again, extend the shoulders up towards the ears, so broaden the scapula, and then relax it back down. Awesome. So from here again, take the feet together and lift the right leg up. We're going to do little pulses here, so try not to let the hip roll over to the side, as if you come into Pincha like this, you might fall over to the left. So you want to keep the hips square. We're just going to do 10 little pulses here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then from this position, either stay here or take your head on the floor. You can bend the right knee coming into a stag pose, and if you've got your headstand practice, you could use it to lift up from here. And if you're feeling really strong, you can even lift your head off the ground, but don't worry about it so much now. I'm just giving it in as options. Then bring yourself back into a dolphin dog. Just bend the knees, take a moment to release. So maybe let's just cat-cow it. So arch the spine, lift the chest up. Again, think of finding that hollow body position, and then round the spine and push yourself away. Nice. So let's do that on the other side now. So again, my forearms are down, palms are flat, and then I'm pressing into my dolphin dog. So again, think of the movement of shoulder flexion. So the shoulders are going up, the scapula are broadening. Lift the left leg up, point through the toes, and we'll pulse for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Option 1, you stay here. If this is okay, the head can come onto the floor. You come into a stag position, so that left knee's bent, right leg straight. And if you can lift the head, lift the head. And if you're not ready, don't worry about it. But I would say here, one thing to think about is squeezing the thighs in towards one another. So when I'm thinking about alignment, I always kind of think about it through weight distribution. So if your hip's opening, then all of your weight's going to roll over to one side. And often this is an indicator of what you're doing wrong in a balance. The side you fall over to is the side there's too much weight going to. So play around with it and see how this feels in your body. Nice. We're then going to bring ourselves back into a downward facing dog position. And we'll flow through a little bit more of a sequence. So taking the feet together, again, lift your right leg up, point through the right toes. Sorry, flex the foot, point through the toes. Point the foot, flex through the toes. Sometimes I have to think about things. Then from here, again, bend the right knee, take it towards the left elbow. You can either stay here or you can think of getting the knee onto the back of the tricep, either lifting or coming into an Ekapada Vinyasa B. So again, it's totally your choice. The right leg then brings itself back up, bend the right knee. This time I'm taking my right knee out to the side, but then I'm going to try to lower my left forearm onto the ground. So this would be working towards your funky pincha, which we'll cover in a bit. Then from this position, again, I'm straightening out the right leg and pulsing for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. and then going to try and straighten that left arm and bring it back up. So draw a big circle with the right leg and again bring it to the outside edge of the right hand. From here, I'm back into my Skandasana, so I'm bending my right knee, and we're going to push directly up into a warrior two position this time. Again, turn the toes in towards one another, take the hands down, lift your chest up, and bring the head onto the floor. You want to try and get the elbows stacked over the wrists. Either stay here, or if headstand is in your practice, you can bring it up through a headstand straddle. And if you want to play with this, maybe try to tap the right foot down, left foot down, and do a few TikToks from side to side. But again, you always just go with where you are in your practice and have fun with it. Wherever you are, bring it back up, bend your left knee, come in through your Skandasana position, and then we're going to quarter turn to the back of the mat and again take it into a pigeon. So this time in your pigeon, take the hands down either side of you. Try not to sink and make your pigeon sloppy, so try to keep it slightly lifted. And again, bend your right knee, flex the foot, and visualize you squeezing your heel in towards your bum. You're then going to point the toes, lift up your chest. Imagine you're coming up and over a bar that's behind you and lean it back. And then bring yourself back up. So again, from here, I'm going to tuck my back toes under, roll over my right shin, and lift my left leg back up. So I'm back in this funky pincha prep position. So from here, we'll play around with funky pincha. And again, I'll show you different options. We can build it up from here. So foundations, the right forearm is down. You don't want the elbow to go out to the side too much. So you want to think of wrapping it in towards the rib cage. My left hand's lined up with my right elbow. Play around with the hand position, so you may need to turn the right palm in slightly. From here, I'm going to make a cup with my right hand and take my head down. I want to make sure my left elbow is over my left wrist. And then I bring it into kind of a funky pincha dog prep. From this position, I'd want to walk my feet in a little bit and then see if I can bring my left knee onto my left tricep. If this feels okay, I'd be trying to lift my right leg up towards the sky. And if this feels okay, I'd be taking my left knee off my left elbow and holding it. And again, eventually from this position, you could play around with lifting the head off the ground. So I would say when you're learning funky pincha, that's one way of doing it. Or if you're feeling confident enough to play around with this, you could, again, bring the forearm down. I like to come into this through a stag position. So I'd be lifting my left leg up, bending the knee. And then I'm kind of just using counterbalance to lift myself up here. I'm not really kicking into it. And if you want to play around with doing this with a wall, you can practice doing it with a wall. But again, I don't want my left hip to open too much, so I'm hugging in towards the center line. So play around with that, have a go, see what happens. Again, I'm then going to bring my left knee behind my right knee and bring myself to sit back down into my Gomukhasana position. So right leg's on top, right arm comes up the back, left arm comes up, and see if you can monkey grip the fingers. Try not to pop the ribs out, so try to draw your rib cage in. If you want to fold forward here, you can fold it forward in this position and then bring yourself back up. So from here again, without using my hands, I'm trying to press into my feet, which brings me back up to standing. So let's work into the other side now. So lifting your arms up towards the sky, squat yourself down into a malasana. Again, I'm taking my hands down, leaning my weight forward, either stepping, jumping, or floating back into a crouching tiger position. So here we come back into our swim through. So forearms are down and I glide my body through the arms, lifting into a cobra, and then pushing back into my downward facing dog position. So just take a moment here, and then we're going to take the feet together and sweep that left leg up. So again, starting with the hips closed, so squeezing the thighs together. I'm then going to bend my left knee and take my left knee to touch the right elbow. So again, option one is you just stay there, or option two is you chaturanga the arms. Here, I've got my left thigh balanced on both of my elbows. And then again, I'm kind of just doing it through counterbalance. The right leg lifts up. If you want to lift the left leg, you can also lift it. And then shooting my left leg back towards the sky, drawing my knee out to the side, and this time seeing if I can lower my right forearm down. My left leg then straightens, and I'm going to pulse up and down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Then straighten both of the arms, lift your left leg back up and step your left foot to the outer edge of the left hand. So coming back through your lunging position. From here again, I'm quarter turning to the right, taking it into a Skandasana, and I'm going to go straight up into my warrior two. So pushing myself up, straightening the left leg and turning the toes in towards one another. So let's rinse out the shoulders now. So interlace the hands behind your back, lift the arms up and away from the body, and then think of shifting the weight from the heels into the toes. Again, if your arms come down easy in this position, and for most of you they won't, that's fine. But if they happen to, you can work the feet in a little bit closer together. Then I'm going to release the arms, bring my hands down, and again, lower my forearms towards the floor. So don't let the elbows slide out. You want to hug them in. And from this position, again, you'd just be lifting up onto the toes. If you can lift, you could take this into a lift. But again, you're only going as far as feels good for you and your body. Then from this position, I'm going to bend the back leg and squat myself down towards the back of my mat. So coming back through a Skandasana and then bringing myself back into a pigeon. So again, trying to keep your pigeon relatively active. Take the hands out to the side, thumbs are facing forward. Lifting that left knee up a little bit here. Awesome. Then from this position, again, bend your left knee and squeeze your heel toward your bum, like you're trying to hold a block between your bum and your heel. You're then pointing the toes. Try not to do this with the shoulders. So you're rolling the shoulder blades up and back, leaning backwards, and maybe taking the foot towards the head. One day, maybe you can scratch your own head. Not that it matters. We're then releasing down to come out of this, rolling over the left shin. The right knee comes up and back. We're back into a scorpion. So I'm just going to turn around so you can see me as I do this side. So let's set up funky pincha prep. So again, left forearm is down, right elbow is bent. And if it helps here for a little bit of stability, you can take a block down, and as you come up, you can balance a block onto your shoulder, which may help you to lift. So there's lots of different ways of doing it. You can play around and see what works for you and your body. So like I did on the other side, when you're first learning this, you can maybe step one knee onto the back of the tricep and then lift the other leg up. Or if you're coming into the forearm balance, maybe use a wall so you can catch your back leg. But again, my favorite shape to get into it is through a stag. So I'd be lifting that right leg up, bending the right knee, and that's what takes me up and over. Or I can turn this into a double stag, which personally works for my body and helps me to balance. So in a double stag position, both of the knees would be bent. So just play around with it, have a go. Then I'll just show you the double stag option. And if you were already in your funky pincher, you could press one foot onto the thigh to take it more into a scorpion position, but whatever works for you. So playing around with that, bring it back, and this time the right knee comes behind the left knee and you're back into your Gomukhasana. So left leg is on top. That means the left arm goes under, the right arm goes over, and see if you combined to your fingers. So lifting up nice and tall, use a strap if you need it, and then I'd be taking my chin in front of my knees and folding down. Taking a moment here, bringing yourself back up. And again, to come out of this, I'm just sliding my left foot backwards a little bit, pressing down, lifting up, and this takes me back to a standing position. So we'll start to play around with Pincha using a wall now, and I'll just give you some cues that I use and then just see what feels right for you. And like, take your time with this. If you need to stop this video or pause it for a moment, take your time, pause it, don't rush it. This is only an hour because that's the time slot I've got, but if you want to practice for longer, sometimes it helps. I will take you over to a wall in a moment, but the lighting's not so good in that area, so I'm going to show you with this part of a wall, but I would say use a full wall if you're doing this, because this definitely isn't ideal. So we're going to approach Pincha through a headstand position first and look at scapular strength. So little scapular push-ups. So here I'm going to hold on to my elbows to measure the distance, interlace my fingers, but in this position, the hands are closed, they're not open, like how I'd normally teach a headstand. I want to take my knuckles right against the wall and my head down. From this position, the further you walk your feet forward, the easier it's going to be to get that lift. I'm then lifting one knee up, the other knee up, coming into a tuck, and then bringing myself up into a forearm balance. And here I would have one foot against the wall. So from this position, try not to stick your bum out too much, try to draw the ribs in. Press down through the elbows and see if you can lift your head off the floor in this position, hollowing out the body, closing the ribs, and then drop the head down. Then swapping legs, so lifting the other leg up to the same height as the hip. And again, you want to press down through the forearms so much that you can lift your head off the ground and lower back down. I'm just going to do this one more time on both sides. You can also here, normally I point the toes when I'm doing inversions, but if you flex the foot and think of kicking up through the inner heel, it kind of helps you to get a little bit more of a lift, I find too. So trying to lift your head off the floor and lower down. And then last time, so lifting the right leg up this time, ribs in, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, and then lowering yourself back down. So this is going to help you build the scapular strength that you need to be able to support yourself safely when you're in a pincha. But like, honestly, like, before you can do something perfectly, just give yourself a chance to not be perfect at it, as you can always refine it later on. I know when I first learned Pincha, it was far from perfect. So let's just kind of move into another couple of techniques you can do here. So now I'm going to move you over to the other wall, just because I don't want to take my feet through the glass, and I'm sure, because I'm staying at my family's home at the moment, they don't want me to either. So I'll turn the camera around. And hope that you can see me. Hopefully I'll edit this out later on. Okay, so here I'm going to use a full wall, and we'll look at two different ways you can come into this. So I'm going to take my forearms down and take my fingers as close to the wall as I can. The closer you are to the wall, the less of a banana shape you're going to make when you come upside down. So my forearms are down, and again, I'm coming into a dolphin dog position. From here, I'm trying to kick one leg up, and then I'm trying to kick up with the other leg. So things to think about here, like, it's really easy to kind of drop the ribs out and stick your bum out. What I want you to think of doing is taking one foot to the same height as the hip, closing your ribs, so tucking the tailbone under, and kicking up through the inner heel. And again, you'd either stay here or you'd try to bring the foot away, squeeze the thighs together. And again, see here, I'm really extending into my shoulders. I'm not dropping my shoulders down. So this is one way you can play around with it. Another way you can play around with it is by starting off in a down dog or a dolphin dog position against the wall. So again, do you like this is actually my stepdad's dojo. So he's got his swords, and I don't know what that is. To be honest, I think he just puts it up there to stress out my mum because she hates it, but I never said that. So again, you're coming down onto your forearms and bringing yourself into a dolphin dog. From this position, I'd be trying to walk my feet up the wall, and then I'd be lifting one leg up. I'm more in a hollow back position here. So this is just indicating to me to come a little bit further away from the wall. And I would say if you want to understand your body and your alignment, film yourself, as it's going to really help with this. So I'm walking myself up the wall, trying to find a letter L shape. So here my bum's not piked out, my ribs are in. And again, I'm lifting one leg up. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you can lift 1 foot away from the wall, squeeze the thighs together, and again, extend out into the shoulders and kick up through the inner heels. And then bring yourself down. So I promised I'd do a tiny little bit on hollow back. Just turn the light over this way. So preparation for hollow back, and then I'll show you back over to that side of the room. So what is a hollow back? A hollow back is where you're opening up the ribs and the shoulders, but you're piking at the hips. So it's more of a shoulder and upper back stretch. So again, piking at the hips, we did this at the beginning. It's like you've got a towel between your thighs and your ribs, and you're trying to squeeze all of the water out of it. So to understand this movement, again, I'm going to take it from a headstand position with the hands closed. So my hands would be down, my head would be down, and I'd be walking my feet up the wall. From this position, I'm then going to pike at the hips, stick my bum out, and then think of sliding my bum down the wall. And if this feels okay, I could then think of lifting my head up and pulling my chest forward. The further away you come from the wall to do this, the deeper your hollow back is going to be. So stay at a wall, or if you're ready to turn this into a hollow back away from the wall, I'll just take you back to the original position. Yoga at home, you have to get really creative, especially when there's no walls, really. I think that's the only piece of wall we've got in the house that you can actually do things on. So I'll just kind of show you hollow back without using the wall. And again, you can come into this in different ways. I'll show it you from a headstand, and then I'll show it you from a pincha. So again, my head's going to come down on the floor. And then from this position, I'm going to come into a tuck first. So again, to get into a hollow back position, and I prefer to do it from a tuck rather than legs straight, I want to think of piking at the hips and pulling my chest through. And if this feels okay, imagine you sliding your bum down that wall again, and you'd start to straighten your legs out towards the sky. I kind of find it a little bit harder with the head on the floor, but it gives you the kind of general gist. I get a lot of questions about how to come into hollow back pincher, so I'll just show it once without the wall on my forearms. Hand placement, personally for me, I like to take my hands together like this, as it gives you a couple of extra inches to pull your head through without it dragging on the floor. So my preference is the hands are together in prayer, the thumbs are up. I would come into this through a tuck first, as it's a little bit more compact. And again, I'm pulling my chest through, piking at the hips, and then I'm trying to straighten my legs up and back, bringing my bum down towards the ground as I press my chest through and try and straighten through the legs. You can play around with all kinds of shapes here, maybe bending one knee and maybe bending the other knee. Doop, doop, doop. And bringing yourself back. Again, these are all variations to play with Do what feels good for you. And I would suggest watch this, pause it, and then play around with it, using a wall first and then working without it. But the biggest thing that helped me with my hollow back practice was just this understanding of the shape of it. So again, piking at the hips, lifting the chest, pulling through. So as we come into our counter poses, we'll just do one more thing to explore this shape of a hollow back. So for this, I'm going to use 2 blocks. I would say cork blocks are a bit more sturdy. I've only got foam blocks here. And here, I'm going to make a T shape. You can take the blocks on a medium height or you can take them on a high height. So I'm going to do them on a high height personally because it creates more of a hollow back position, but I'm going to place one block between my shoulder blades. And it's kind of hitting my bra strap area. Not that I ever wear one of those doing yoga. And then the other block is going to come behind your head. So if you've got a ponytail in like me, you might want to bring it out. If you can reach the arms backwards, you'd be reaching the arms backwards and pointing through the toes. Or if you kind of wanted to think more about what's happening when you're in a forearm stand, interlace the fingers, kind of bring them into a headstand position. This block doesn't want to stay, it's a little bit too light. And this is kind of your hollow body position, but from a different perspective. So if you're kind of not sure how to come into that position, I would always say try something, not upside down before taking it into an upside down shape, and it'll make a lot more sense to you. So having a play with that, and then we'll bring ourselves out. So let's just come into a few little twists to release. So I'm going to lie down on my stomach and bring my left arm directly out to the side. The palm is facing down. And then bending my right elbow and taking my left ear on the floor. So from this position, bend your right knee and take it back and behind you. Everyone is different here. This may feel like enough for you, but if you want a little bit more, you can interlace the right fingers on top of the left fingers. And if this feels okay and you still want more, you can bend both of the knees. If you wanted a deeper twist, you'd think of dropping the knees over to the right and keep gazing over to the left. And then we'll bring it back. We'll then just do the other side. So now I'm going to take my right arm out to the side and my right ear on the floor. And then bending my left knee, bringing it back behind me. And either stay here or I'm taking my left palm, I can't find it, directly on top of my right palm and pressing down. And again, if this feels okay, the knees would come together and then drop over to the left, which takes you into a deeper twist. Oh, feels good. And come back to the center. It feels good for me. Bringing yourself back. Hopefully it feels good for you. Last little thing. So pushing back into a child's pose. Toes are together, knees are apart. We'll just come into one more twist. So lifting the armpits up, thread your right arm underneath your left arm. And you can either stay here or you can bend your left elbow and take it around the back and think of rolling the right thigh out as the left side of the chest rolls open. And then bring it back to the center. So now I'm going to thread my left arm underneath my right arm and walk my fingertips out to the side. And if this feels okay, I'm bending the right elbow, taking it around the back and twisting, rotating the chest open. And coming back. So you can come into Shavasana, or I'm going to finish again in Caesar meditation because I just found it really grounding. So taking the hands over your knees. Just take a minute to close your eyes. Taking your focus within. So everything starts from within. Whatever we think about, we give power to. And whenever we're working on upside down shapes, I always think it's really a lot of training for the mind. And I know I love being upside down because I really feel like it helps me to get mentally stronger. As when we do something that's physically challenging, it really prepares us to do things in life that are mentally and emotionally challenging by developing the perseverance and the patience and just like the positivity and mindset to give yourself the opportunity to try new things and shift your perspective. And everything starts with your mind. So you can see kind of your thoughts as a dress rehearsal for whatever you do in life. And this includes your yoga practice. So if you tell yourself that you're never going to do something, this automatically triggers areas of the brain that go into your fight and flight mode, shutting everything down to protect yourself because that's its job. When you visualize yourself being able to do something, it sends signals to the parts of the brain that are responsible for that movement. So you can see, thinking about it like a dress rehearsal for actually doing it. So it's so important to choose your mindset. So wherever you are, whether you're in Shavasana or whether you're in Japanese meditation, just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Again, deep breath in, deep breath out. We're then going to take our hands together in prayer. If you're lying down, just making yourself your way back to seated. Then taking the thumbs to the third eye, center of your intuition, keeping your thoughts positive, to your lips, the center of communication, keeping your words kind, and to your heart, keeping your actions full of love. Thank you so much for joining me with your practice. I really hope you enjoyed it. Lots of love and namaste.